Okay, I think we should start. Okay, so hello everyone. It's nice to have you all here today for this special moment. We are going to discuss about the health of the ocean, and we have Ella Whitman today with us. So she's going to talk about her research about ocean and child's health, and she's a research assistant at Boston College, and she's a member of the Planetary Health Alliance. And I'm going to give her the voice, and you can continue, Ella. Thank you very much.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here and have the privilege of speaking with all of you on this critical topic of oceans and human health. It's exciting to know that more and more of these webinars and research initiatives, along with advocacy, is really gaining momentum to advance both the health of the ocean and the health of humans. For a bit of background, I'm currently an early career researcher. I'm really interested in how early life exposures impact children's health and their developmental trajectories beyond the life course. And so over the past year, I've had the privilege of collaborating with the World Resources Institute to help lead a policy paper on how the oceans impact human health and the important actions we need to take both at the local and global levels to help mitigate that. So my presentation today is how the ocean impacts children's health, and part of this is my goal to ensure that both healthcare professionals, parents, and citizens, global health leaders, pay attention to this particularly vulnerable population and think about their actions a bit more critically for their sake. All right, so as a quick overview, I'm sure many of you all are aware of this, but the ocean has outstanding benefits to human health. Firstly, it it sustains all life on Earth by absorbing over 90% of our excess heat and about a quarter of our carbon dioxide emissions. Additionally, it stabilizes the global climate and is a source of new medicines and biotechnologies with potential treatments for cancer, antibiotic resistance. And so ocean conservation is critical to ensure that we're able to continue to derive the healthy benefits of our ocean to improve patient care. It's also providing food, livelihood, and trade. Over 3 billion people rely on the ocean for nourishment, with fishing and aquaculture providing critical economic opportunities to support local economies. And it also enhances physical health and mental well-being. I'm sure many of us can reflect back to times we've been near the ocean, blue spaces, we're able to engage in recreational opportunities, but also opportunities of social cohesion when we're outdoors with our neighbors and community members. So in summary, if children are to thrive and be healthy, both at the individual and community level, the ocean must be healthy. Here's a brief visual overview of the 4 dimensions that the ocean impacts human health. As I just mentioned, we have physical and mental well-being, economic stability, medicine and biotechnology, and a sustainable production of food. So now shifting towards children specifically, the food that the ocean provides, critical sources of protein, omega-3 fatty acids, zinc, and iron are all important for children's neurodevelopment and somatic growth. Again, encouraging physical activity reduces rates of childhood obesity, hypertension, and type 2 diabetes when they're adults. Additionally, the ocean buffers coastal communities against violent storms, reduces erosion, and minimizes flood damages. And then socially, the ocean supports cohesion, as I mentioned, and it instills a respect for nature, stewardship of marine resources, and a deeper appreciation for the environment. And reflecting back on my childhood, I was privileged to grow up with,
Olá, boa tarde.
oh, sorry, I was privileged to experience the ocean, and I think that benefited my health and the health of my community very positively. And it also allows for dynamic opportunities of education when we can teach our children about natural ecosystems. However, given all these outstanding benefits, there are critical risks to ocean health, which also jeopardizes the health of children. First, climate change threatens ocean health through multiple mechanisms. Increasing emissions of CO2, methane, and other greenhouse gases cause global warming, drive sea level surface temperatures, which we know disrupts marine ecosystems. Further, pollution exacerbates all the challenges brought upon by climate change. Each year, an estimated 10 to 12 million tons of plastic waste enters the ocean, where it can bioaccumulate in marine animals, break down into nanoplastic chemicals, and disrupt ecosystems that magnify throughout the food chain. Additionally, chemical pollutants from agricultural runoff, industry discharges, and oil spills introduce pesticides, heavy metals, and other hydrocarbons into marine environments. And global shipping plays a tremendous role in releasing excess greenhouse gases when we are transporting mass amounts of goods, amounts of waste globally. Thirdly, biodiversity loss is a critical threat that's driven by both climate change and pollution, along with unsustainable fishing practices and destruction of natural habitats. And then, thinking again back critically to children, they are much more vulnerable to all of these threats that exacerbate ocean health. And that's inherently due to their unique physiological vulnerability. So children have a much greater nutritional need, and they have less diversity in their diet. And so that brings about challenges when sources of micronutrients and macronutrients such as protein are limited by loss of food production from the ocean. They also intake a greater volume of air and drink a greater volume of water per body weight. And so when those sources are polluted, their burden is much, much greater. And they have limited ability to detoxify these adverse effects. Their liver and kidneys are still developing. Lung function does not peak until about age 25, which acts as a secondary immunomodulator. And so when they come into contact with contaminated seafood or polluted water, they're at much greater risk. And finally, social impacts are of great concern for children. When communities are displaced due to natural disasters that are, again, exacerbated by climate change, these disruptions in access to a caretaker, access to a stable, supportive, nurturing, educational environment, all disrupt children's psychological and neurological growth and development. And most importantly, each of these impacts during childhood can persist across the life course. And for me, as a young researcher, this is such a challenge that brings about, fear, anxiety. But I think this challenge is also an opportunity to intervene in the early childhood ages to foster sustained, flourishing lives. Here's just a quick case study that I won't read through in detail of ways communities are harnessing ocean benefits to improve pediatric growth through through adding micronutrients that it's derived sustainably through fish. And then just to conclude briefly, children are uniquely vulnerable to the threats brought onto our ocean. Examples from real-world cases demonstrate the key link we have between ocean and child health. And investing in ocean benefits improves the health, the livelihood, and the trajectories of children who are our future leaders. And so sustainable stewardship will ensure that the next generation can flourish. And I think for me, as I imagine a career, I desire to think clinically as a physician, quantitatively as a scientist who can measure these impacts, but also humanistically as a compassionate global citizen who's dedicated to improving the health of those most impacted. So with that, I encourage a relationship of reciprocity when we recognize that the ocean inherently impacts and benefits our health, which is, in my opinion, an indicator of our very humanity. We can act in ways that improve our environment and the lives that we live and the lives that our communities will live. And with that, I want to acknowledge all the wonderful colleagues who have helped inspired these ideas throughout my learning. It's been such a privilege to be able to work with them and learn from them. And I'm happy to take any questions.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this beautiful presentation, Ella. It's very interesting. So and it's so important research to understand how the ocean is impacting in child's health. So I'm going to open for questions now. We we just have a few minutes to ask questions to Ella. If anybody wanna raise your hand. And so Ella, I have a question for you.
Sure.
So as a young researcher, so do you see any way to mitigate that and see how we can change this reality from the future of those kids and the ocean?
So it's a great question. And I think when we consider critical global challenges, climate change, biodiversity loss, pollution, ocean degradation, all of these instances will require interdisciplinary work. It's not that ecologists will lead the way or engineers will lead the way or physicians will lead the way. It is partnership with our professionals, but also partnerships with the communities that are disproportionately impacted. So I think when we form these coalitions and we orient our work to ensure that we are trying to help those who are most vulnerable, like children, like elderly populations, like those with pre-existing comorbidities, with those of lower socioeconomic statuses, we can orient our work in a way that is, I think, reimagined and stronger than we could do alone by ourselves.
Oh, thank you for saying that, because that's exactly why we started this Planetary Health Coalition, is to bring this discussion to the community. So we have people from different countries with us, starting new business, starting local entrepreneurs, and people that, as you said, that really live by the ocean and need the ocean to be health for them and for their community. So I think that's the idea, to bring this discussion and this awareness. So thank you. So anyone want to ask another question for Ella? So I also want to introduce you, Dr. Geta. She's here. She's also a collaborator, we can say. So it's not the first time she come here to talk, and she's wonderful. So you have any questions, Dr. Geta, for
Yes,
Ella?
Hi, Ella, and thank you so much, Renata, for introducing me to Ella. And I just missed the half-most portion of the presentation due to some, I joined lately because here's some network issues. Sorry, Ella, for miss your
No
presentation fully,
problem.
but I heard something in our last portions, and I think it had a good discussions on this. You had presented well,
Thank you.
and yeah, and it's my pleasure, and I'm very interested to know about your activities and your research, and I think we can connect via email or in LinkedIn. You
Absolutely.
can. Thank you so much, Ella.
Wonderful.
I'll wait to connect with you in LinkedIn. You can
Great.
find me there in a Dr. Gita Plakal in a LinkedIn.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Perfect.
you.
Thank you, Dr. Flacco. And unfortunately, I'll miss a bit of your presentation, but I'd love to discuss further online.
Okay, busy schedules then. Yeah, I think.
Wow,
Yeah.
it's going to be recorded and so everybody
Oh,
can
perfect.
see, you know.
Wonderful.
Yeah, yes. So, any other question for Ella? Because she have to leave in a few minutes.
Well, again, thank you so much for the invitation to join. It's such a pleasure to be able to speak with you guys and know about all the outstanding work and advocacy you're all doing.
Yeah, thank you. So next week we are going to talk about the disruption on supply chain and how is it impacting our lives. So every Wednesday we are going to have a different theme. So I'm going to let you know step by step,
Perfect.
and that's it.
Great.
So thank you so much, Ella. I appreciate your time, and I hope you keep in touch with us and we continue this discussion. So beautiful and so important because and we know that the kids are the most vulnerable members in every society, and they are impacted for the environment all the time. So I think we need to have more and more research like what you and your team are doing, because that's really, you know, how we are going to deal with the future of our species and other species.
Mhm.
So that's the integration and the interconnection of the species and how we can live in harmony. So that,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. Good. We can be their voice. I love it.
Yes, and it's nice to because I started my career as a pediatric nurse, so everything that relates with kids, I love always, you know, how that impact and yeah, yeah, and I agree with you. It's a very great place to be together and to relax in, you know, in the beach, in the ocean. I come from Rio, so we are all crazy about ocean and beaches. Yeah. Okay, so now I'm going to introduce you all to Dr. Geta Plakal, and she is a marine scientist from India, and she is also a member of the Planetary Health Alliance, and today she's going to share some of her research here with us. So, so Dr. Geta, please.
Thank you so much, Renata, and for your invitation, and hello to everyone, and good evening or good afternoon or good morning. And I'm very glad to join today with all of you here to something share about the ocean health and its impacts or on humans and our planetary health. And thank you so much. Can I share the slide now, Renata? The ocean provides millions of livelihoods that stimulates local and global economies. The blue economy employs millions of people across the globe, particularly in developing countries, and contributes several trillion dollars of goods.
Oh,
Just
sorry.
okay, it's okay. of goods and services to the global economy annually, and the ocean providing oxygen production and ecosystem services and climate regulation. Over the past century, human activity or anthropogenic impacts has increasingly altered the environment, especially in the ocean, imposing strains on the ocean that threaten its ability to provide these crucial benefits. In this situation, or based on this context, let's discuss about the importance of the oceans on the human health and the planetary health. Thank you. Next slide. The ocean, actually I can't see it well. Okay. The ocean sustains us and acting like a life-supporting system. It provides the food and medicine. It is a source of recreation, discovery, identity, and culture. More than 3 billion people rely on food from the ocean as a source of protein and nutrition. Ocean is a source of income and playing a major role in human life and economic development. In precise, ocean is directly or indirectly bound with our life in many ways, such as social, economic, cultural, mental, and physical health, and also the inevitable part of the human life. Next slide. And why ocean is vital to planetary health? The ocean makes planet Earth a habitable place to live, and the marine environment is a source of vital human health benefits also. The ocean plays a fundamental role in supporting life on Earth by regulating our climate, by storing and transporting huge amounts of heat and water and greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, methane, etc. And the ocean currents plays an important role in controlling the climate by moving heat from the equator toward the poles of the Earth. And the ocean currents are very important to sea life, and these carry nutrients and food to organisms that live permanently attached in one place in some places, and also carry the reproductive cells and ocean life to new places and profound role in reproduction of marine biodiversity. Thank you. Next slide. And climate change refers to long-term changes in the Earth's climate as a result of increased concentrations of atmospheric greenhouse gases through human activities, which is warming the planet. And we can see here some temperature changes in the last 50 years. Here we can see it's increased from 2021 to 2021 average versus 1956 to 1967 baseline model. We can see the changes in this picture, and also the current impacts of this climate change includes sea level rise, decreasing amounts of snow in high altitudes and polar regions, and melting of glaciers and ice, changes in rainfall patterns and growing seasons, as well as increased occurrence of extreme weather events like high category hurricanes, tornadoes, and cyclones. These all affect the human health and life in many ways. Thank you. Next slide. Ocean currents redistribute heat around the globe and regulate the climate on our Earth. And almost all rain that falls on land comes from water evaporated from the ocean. This water helps to support all life on land, and humans store it for drinking water and also irrigate crops. The ocean currently plays a critical role in reducing the effects of climate change by acting as a buffer with a volume of 252 billion gallons of water. The ocean acts as a vast store of heat, absorbing about 90% of the additional heat as a result of the current global warming, and about 30% of human emissions of carbon dioxide. And thank you. The next slide. And increasing water temperature in an ocean of just 1 0.2 degrees Celsius can cause coral reefs to become severely stressed due to ocean acidification, and prolonged effects may lead to coral bleaching and mortality of coral reefs and the ecosystems. The corals, clams, mussels, sea urchins, barnacles, and some microscopic plankton are more vulnerable to ocean acidification due to the global warming. And the marine species may respond to ocean warming by altering their geographic ranges. It may lead to the distribution of fishes and other animals that feed on them may also change. The migration, competition for resources, and reproduction or mortality of organisms are another threat in ocean. Next slide. Impact of changing and the impacts to commercial fisheries changes in the distribution of marine life mean that the fishes and the shellfish we eat could become more abundant in some parts of the world, so that it will affect the commercial fisheries and the blue economy. Impacts of changing ocean conditions on weather patterns also has consequences for good crops grown on land due to rainfall patterns, growing seasons, and the occurrence of extreme weather events such as drought. This can lead to food shortages, economic loss, and increased food prices. And changing ocean conditions include changes in the frequency and severity of tropical storms, which have major consequences for human well-being. The heavy rain, cloudbursts, and flash floods may increase. The landslides in mountain regions are another threat. The flooding of cities and coastal areas are increasing globally nowadays. Next slide. The ocean is Earth's most vital feature. 50% of life-giving oxygen comes from the ocean. It holds 97% of our planet's water and produces over half of the oxygen in our atmosphere and has a major influence on weather and climate. The ocean sustains all life on Earth, including ours. Humans are altering marine ecosystem by various activities, and on the other side, they are using ocean for different purposes in an unsustainable way. The increasing population and the urbanization in coastal areas is also increasing threat to marine environment. The demand for fisheries resources and aquaculture activities to desalination for drinking water and recreational use of beaches and coastal areas is increasing globally. This also affects the ocean health. Next slide. The health of the ocean is inextricably linked to human health, and well-being and the marine environment impacts human health in a number of ways. Impacts are a complex mixture of negative influences. Example, from extreme weather events such as cyclones to waterborne illness and the pollution. Anthropogenic impacts including pollution and overfishing, eutrophication, plastic pollution, as well as human-made global climate change. We are directly and indirectly affecting the health of the ocean. This turned into negative impacts on human health and our life. And the marine dead zones begins from even excess nutrients in primarily nitrogen and phosphorus enter coastal waters and help fertilize blooms of algae. These extra nutrients came from our farmlands, and the major nutrient sources include fertilizers, wastewater, and the burning of fossil fuels, etc. The climate change and the ocean warming may accelerate the formation of marine dead zone in a ocean or a marine environment, and it leads to the poisonous algal bloom in ocean, and this leads to the mass mortality of organisms or migration of organisms, and it will affect the entire ecosystems or that place, and also its loss of marine resources and several species, and leads to the blue economy, the loss of the marine economy also. Thank you. Next slide. Warming sea temperatures can lead to increase in the growth rate of the marine pathogens, like diseases causing microorganisms in the marine environment, such as bacteria like Vibrio vulnificus and Vibrio parahemolyticus, a leading cause of seafood-associated illness. These bacteria may cause illness in humans. And the discovery or protection of future potential medicines from the seas, as well as the important source of the protein in seafood, are lost due to the contamination as a result of human activity and the effects of climate change. The loss of biodiversity or extinction may affect the entire trophic system in ocean and its impacts on terrestrial ecosystems and also humans too. And the 500 marine locations are now recorded as dead zones globally. Currently, the size of the United Kingdom suffers. And 1 lakh marine animals die from getting entangled in plastics early. This is just the creatures we find. And we don't know the exact numbers. And 1 in 3 marine mammal species get found entangled in later. And 12 to 14,000 tons of plastics are ingested by North Pacific fish yearly. By 2050, the pollution of fish will outnumbered by our dumped plastic in ocean. An estimated 1.13 to 2.24 million metric tons of that waste is leaked into oceans and the environment every year. These all are affected the marine health and the biodiversity also. And this will return to the human also. It will impact on the terrestrial organisms or the marine life too. Okay, the next slide. Conservation matters. According to IUCN, more than 42,100 species are threatened with the extinction now. It's listed, and that is the 28% of all assessed species on Earth. The IUCN red list now includes 1,50,388 species, of which 42,108 are threatened with extinction. Over 1,550 of the 17,903 marine animals and plants assessed are at risk of extinction, with the climate change impacting at least 41% of threatened marine species. Today's IUCN Red List update reveals a perfect storm of unsustainable human activity decimating marine life around the globe. That is Montreal, Canada protocol, or the conference is recorded in 9 December 2022. And most of the Earth's atmosphere, 99% of all livable space on our planet is underwater. Humanity acts as if oceans were inexhaustible, capable of sustaining infinite harvest of algae, animals, and plants for food and other products, able to transform vast quantities of sewage and other pollutants that we pour in our coastal areas, and absorb the CO2 generated by land use change and burning fossil fuel. This Red List update brings to light new evidence of the multiple interacting threats to declining life in the sea, said the Professor John Paul Rodriguez, chair of the IUCN Species Survival Commission. And the next slide. And here I wish to conclude it like that. The ocean is the world's largest ecosystem, home to almost 1 million known species. However, decades of irresponsible exploitation have led to significant degradation of the ocean. To protect the ocean, the UN adopted the High Seas Treaty in 2023, which will establish marine protected areas and increase transparency around activities that could harm the ocean. Ocean conservation ensures the preservation of these ecosystems and the species that inhabit them. Having healthy marine ecosystems contributes to the overall health of our planet by regulating climate, providing oxygen, absorbing carbon dioxide, and supporting the global food chain. Marine biodiversity allows nature in our ocean to be productive, resilient, and adaptable to environmental changes. The marine biodiversity can prevent one species extinction from causing wider negative impacts on a marine ecosystem. So that we need to conserve and protect our precious marine ecosystems and its biodiversity for survival of life on Earth, or the sustain our life. The one-time use plastics, and also it can many microplastics and everything included in that. It can carry some pathogens also, and it may affect the marine life. And also if we consume those species from such regions, it will affect the human life also in different ways. Maybe there are a chance to growing some pathogens or something like that in such debris or marine plastics, yeah, in our ocean. So that we need to control the use of the one-time plastics or the use or purchase of such plastics. That will be good to reduce the use the impacts of such plastics on the ocean and our environment. We need to just control our use of such plastics in our daily life, and we need to educate others also, and we need to maintain a sustainable lifestyle. It will be helpful to reduce the impacts in our marine environment. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Guetta. So I think Marcelo have a question.
Hello, thank you, Dr. Guetta, for your instructive presentation. And my question is, what actions all the government and companies over the world would apply immediately to avoid the increase of damage to oceans? I'm passing the question here in the chat in case you would like to read it.
Yeah, I think maybe everyone is responsible to reduce the impacts of plastics or the pollution in oceans. Not only the plastic pollution, but also the different types of pollutions are increasing globally in our ocean, because the looming industrialization or looming industries around the globe, it will also affect our environmental health and also the ocean health, because the unsustainable way of waste production or something like that into the ocean, or leakages to the rivers, finally reached into our ocean. Or another pollutants came from the agricultural farmlands. We are using many artificial fertilizers, chemicals like pesticides or fungicides and everything in our farmlands. It will finally reach into the ocean through rivers or the canals or the small streams are everywhere. And also these everything is affected the ocean life in many ways. And one important matter is the increasing of the nitrogen or phosphorus in the marine environment leads to the eutrophication and the poisonous algal bloom in marine environment. So that we need to reduce the use of chemicals or the artificial fertilizers in our farmlands. We need to just control the use of such artificial chemicals in our farmland. And I think we can use the sustainable lifestyle or farming ways to promote in our community and in our country or globally. It will support to the marine biodiversity to a better life or a sustainable future. Because I am involved in such one project and I am part of that organization from USA. We are trying to implement one project for the sustainable farming. We are trying to product one something like that, organic fertilizer from the coal waste, and it can use, instead of that the artificial fertilizers, it will be useful for the plants to increase the immunity it can resist against many diseases, and we can reduce the use of pesticides or fungicides in farmlands. And also it will promote the growth of the plant and it will bring the more yield in the croplands. And we are trying to implement this project in a global basis, and we are just waiting for the more funding for the starting of this project in many places. Already it has started in some places in Africa also. Similarly, we can reduce the plastics waste also. I'm involved in one project, and I am an environmental director for the Ocean Integrity One company that is based in Indonesia. And we are using this plastic waste to convert into useful products such as the plastic bricks and useful items for the school children who live in a poor community, in a fisherman community in many places around the globe. And also we are just taking the community development, supporting the community development also. We are trying to help the fishermen also. Yeah, we can do such projects to eliminate the pollution from the ocean and the environment. We can reduce or control the impacts in our ocean and marine environment, and we can protect the marine biodiversity. but it's very difficult to clean the ocean from all the waste already entered into the ocean. It's very tough to clean everything from, but we can control the future waste disposal to the oceans or the our environment. Thank you so much.
Oh, actually, I have a lot of questions. It's so interesting. So, one of my question is, what is the most destructive industry when we talk about ocean?
And once again, Renata, I didn't get what you asked.
What is the most destructive industry?
Okay, okay. I think the pollution. Pollution is the major threat to the marine environment. It may be the chemical or the by plastic or by the different human activities, and we are polluting the marine environment by many ways. It can, I think, these all are very important. We need to stop the polluting the marine environment, ocean water, and it will leads to the loss of the marine biodiversity, and also it may be leads to species extinction. If one species are extinct from such environment, it may affect the other organisms, and also it will affect our life also, because everything is interconnected actually. Yeah.
So, talking about that, you said that we have 1 million species in the oceans that it was already studied. So, do you have any idea how many species that we still don't study
Yeah,
yet?
I think many more than that is unknown for us. We need more research and discovery. Maybe it's more beneficial species are also living in the marine environment. For example, we can make or produce medicines from, we can use for the medicinal purposes and everything. Unknown about such a species in the ocean, and still it's unknown for us. We need to more exploration and research and discovery, and so that we need to protect the precious marine biodiversity, because we can use something for the critical diseases or such situations, or like the pandemic like corona or something in any future, because we know in a climate also changing, and every organisms are affecting by such impacts. Also it can a possibility to emerging new organ such as the virus or bacteria or anything around us, or maybe the fungus or something. Maybe we can expect any pandemic at any time on earth due to these climate changes or the increasing temperatures impacts and everything. So that we need to more concern on the marine biodiversity and the ocean marine ecosystems, especially the we need to reduce the impacts of the pollution, and we need to eliminate or reduce the plastic waste and everything. We need to protect our precious marine biodiversity and the ecosystem, because we know that we are searching the life on the water on another planets and other worlds or out of the earth, and we are just spending a lot of money for that, such researches and everything. But that this is all good for humanity, but if we find something good in other planets, it may helpful for our future or some research or our economic development or something. But we didn't get any other ocean or like a planet like earth, so that we have only one earth and one ocean. Actually it's only one ocean and one earth. It is divided into many places by the continent and the small islands. Only we have only one ocean and one planet. We need to protect and conserve the precious earth. If we find in another planets a life or something water, we cannot move there. Just humans cannot colonize or live there, because there may be some always something like that missed in some places, something like that pure air or oxygen content or everything will be buried. This is the only home for us to flourish, for a happy life, for a peaceful life, and for a healthy life. And everything we have here in a freely available, the oxygen, the water, and everything. We need to protect this. We are responsible, because we need a future healthy generation to we need to protect this earth for the upcoming generation too. We are responsible for this. Thank you, Renata, for this question.
And I have another question. So you talked about hurricanes and cyclones and how the heat on the ocean is impacting on that.
Mhm.
And in this week, we are facing a major hurricane in Florida, in the Gulf. So that some meteorologist was very scared how quickly this hurricane grow. And
Yeah.
can you talk a little bit more about that, please? How is it
Mhm.
impacting people's life?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it may be very danger for human life and also the biodiversity and the other wildlife also, because it's such hurricanes are not happened in the past time. Maybe in a we don't know about much more about such extreme weather events happened anywhere. Nowadays it is increasing. The occurrence and the extremity also increase. It's a threatened our life and our everything on earth now, because it may be happen in any place in any time, because it's unpredictable now. The weather prediction is very unpredictable now. That is the situation, because actually it's maybe due to the impacts of the human induced global warming and climate change mainly, because we are producing many the unwanted greenhouse gases into our environment by our industrialization and such activities. And we need to control the use of such use of the fuels and everything. Yeah, we need to reduce and we need to find another natural resources for our energy production and everything. It is very important, because we know something happened like extreme hurricanes or tornadoes, it may affect the economy, it may affect the human life, it may affect the forests and wildlife and ocean life and everything. We don't know how many species were destructed or how many affected in that area, particular area, how many species are unknown and just extinct in such a big extreme situations. We don't know about such things. We cannot restore the natural things. We cannot, because humans have the limitations to restore or something like that. It's a natural calamities. Yeah, we cannot predict the natural powers. We humans are need to aware about such things, and we need to control the human or the carbon footprint and everything for a sustainable future. We need to learn from these experiences. Some people are not believing in such things now also. They are always criticizing this is not happening due to the global warming or climate change. It's also natural and everything, but no, it's just a triggering by the human activities. Yeah. Thank you so much,
It's
Renata.
interesting that you say that because I can relate a lot with the forest, that we are with the deforestation, we are killing a species that
Yeah,
you
correct,
said,
correct.
it's unknown. So I have the same feeling that in oceans and forests, it still need a lot of research for us to understand much
Yeah.
better. And so Juliet have another question. Please, Juliet, go ahead. Thank you.
All right. So, first, let me say that I am a former cruise ship member, and Renata mentioned the pollutions of the ocean, but I think it's worth to mention also that one of the biggest pollution of the ocean is the acoustic pollution inside the waters. For example, affecting the sonar of whales, and that causing them to pass through the propeller of the ships. We also have the threats to the corals and many other things affecting a little bit of currents on small places like Venice or places like that.
Okay.
Could you also get more details of those other threats to the ocean that no one talks about?
Mhm. I think the most polluted areas are many reported on the earth, because And majorly the Gulf of Mexico area. There is some places are recorded, like I think maybe 15, more than 15 miles apart. The some ocean area is uninhabitable for the marine fauna and the biodiversity or anything. Any life cannot survive there, because there are the dead zone formations are ongoing. It's not stopped yet, because my CEO, the friend that is working from the Louisiana, he is also in a part of that research in a Gulf of Mexico area, and he shared many times with the graphics and the statistics and every recorded things data to me. And it's very increasing, the day by day its vastness is increasing in that part of the ocean due to the marine dead zone formation, because the impacts from the use of the chemicals, pesticides, and artificial fertilizers on farmlands, and this reached in the ocean, and it affected that area, and uninhabitable for the marine fauna and flora in that area. And so many such places around the globe. Now, biggest one is near the Oman area sea, the Gulf region here in Arabia. Oman region, that is the biggest one. There is a big marine dead formation in that area in the sea due to the impacts of the artificial fertilizers and the use of many chemicals in the farmlands, and that reached into the ocean, and just made big area that is inhabitable for organisms that are living in such areas.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so wow, that's a beautiful discussion, very interesting. And you can see that we have a lot of questions, but for today, I think it's, if anybody have another question, please.
Or you can send me my email or something, maybe.
Yeah, thank
If
you for.
time is over, then you can contact me my email or anything. I am very pleased to answer everyone.
Oh, thank you,
Okay.
Dr. Guetta. It's always a pleasure to listen to you and to see the generosity you have to share your knowledge with us. It's so important, and I think so. We are going to stop recording now. I see.